it begins. We are back. We are back. We are back. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Shutter Saga Podcast. I am your host, Marvin Blue. With me always is a wonderful guest. But before we get started, I give the introduction to who we have this week. Let me go ahead and thank our wonderful, wonderful sponsors that help keep the show alive and giving this show to you absolutely free of charge. First and foremost, as always, my OG sponsors, my day ones. Cheetah stands, guys, you already know what I'm going to say. Cheetah stands, if you're going to have these expensive lights, if you want to enhance your lighting, if you want to, do all these things that we love as photographers, you need to put them on the right stands, the stands that are going to last, the stands that are going to stand the test of time with you, that are going to not break after the first giveaway and after a gust of wind knocks it over. Those things are built to last, so go to cheetahstands.com/Shutter Saga Podcast and get yourself 10% off. Also, you know what? I always say, if you're going to show it, you need to sell it. So with that being said, we got a new sponsor on deck. I love these guys, Dreambooks Pro. Albums. You guys know I love my albums. I love creating albums for my clients, whether it's wedding albums, senior albums, maternities, the journey. I love telling that story. And what better way to tell a story than an amazing album company that's going to complement your work. So go to dreambooks.com. Check out the work. Hit me up. I've got some amazing promos that you can use to get you started, get you rocking and rolling. Okay. So just reach out to me, shoot me, slide into my DMs and ask about Dreambooks. Also, if you're going to sell albums or wall art or anything else, you got to know how to design it. So what better way to do it than Fundy Designer? You guys know Andrew is a guest, a friend of the show. He's been a guest of the show, but you know what? He has designed something that makes your life easy and it makes it manageable. And when it comes to servicing your clients and taking your work and creating it into art pieces, Fundy is the way to go. So go to fundydesigners.com. I got a special promo code that gets you 30% off. So let's take it full advantage, get the 30% off, do the trial. If you like it, keep it. If you don't like it, hey, you at least can know you need to touch it, try it before you just write it off. Okay. Lastly, Pro Prints. Correction, Pro Prints. Yes, see, that's how old I've been with this company when I call them by their first original company name. But Pro Prints, guys, I love selling the canvases, the acrylics, the things that make me famous to my clients. So if you're going to shoot it, if you're going to build it, you need to put it on, create a product that you can just, complement your work. So proprints.com, just reach out to me. We got some amazing products. I believe they're going to give away a couple of free canvases. Just hit me up with a promo code because, hey, if you got it and you show it, you can sell it. I promise you that. So, again, thank you to our sponsors. Now, to our guest, one of just when there's so many ways, and I've been in my head about how to properly introduce this man. When I say we go back, we go back. When I say we have cut our teeth in the same mud, which is a military saying, we've cut our teeth in the same mud. We both worn the uniform. There are so many similarities. And when you hear his story, you get exactly why me and him have become just instant friends from day one, from the moment we met each other to this point. He is a longtime friend. He is an advocate for veterans, for law enforcement, and most of all, he is a photographer. So he's also a fellow podcaster. Ladies and gentlemen, the host of the Trading Hosters podcast, my good friend, my brother from another mother, the Prince of South Texas, New Braunfels. He's hitting us up. All right. So if I'm the king of the North, we got the Prince of the South. We got it here. Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Guerrero.
Thank you, Marvin. That was a heck of an introduction. I gave you a great introduction back when you were on my podcast. And so I appreciate the return there. That was good.
Thank you, man. So, John, we get right into it. Obviously, for those people who are in the know or don't know, before we go into what made you grab the camera, you obviously have a history with the military, law enforcement. Can you give us a little bit of highlight about that first?
Yeah, sure. I signed the line at 17 years old, right out of high school. I went straight into the Army basic training at Fort Knox. I spent 5 years there in the Army where I was both a tanker on the M1 Abrams main battle tank, and I was chemical defense, which was a completely different animal from being on a tank. But it was, I'll tell you, it's scarier dealing with chemical weapons than it is dealing with those kind of being on a tank, I'll say. But yeah, I spent 5 years in the military. Best decision I could have made for myself at the time. No regrets whatsoever, and made some lifelong friends and joined a brotherhood, really.
Nice. And then afterwards, you put down one uniform, traded it for a different one, man.
Yeah, definitely. It was a natural transition to go from the military into law enforcement. I actually started really looking into a law enforcement career maybe 6 months to a year before I got out. I wanted to have an exit strategy, and kind of jumped in with both feet. When I got out of the army, I did a little security work as I worked my way through the academy, and then got my first job in law enforcement. Stuck with that same agency for 23 years.
And then you finally hung up the uniform, and you decided to do this crazy thing called photography. So tell us, how did that come about? How did grabbing the camera and just knowing, like, you know what, I want to take pictures. I've rocked tanks. I've worked with chemical bombs. I've held guns. I've worn a uniform. I've been a patrolman. I've done it all. I want to hold a camera now. How did that come about?
Well, I got to go way back, like childhood back. I remember having or seeing my parents' cameras. They were little Kodak 110s, things of that nature. I don't know if anybody hasn't seen them. They're little rectangle
Mhm.
cameras, with a little pop flash. Remember those?
Yeah.
And I was fascinated by it, by the ability to take this little piece of equipment and take pictures. Of course, that was film back then. Um, One day I was in fourth grade. We had like field day. This was back when we had like the three-legged race and the tug of war and all that kind of stuff. Uh, I convinced my mom to let me take the camera with me. And I noticed that when I pulled the camera out, people would gravitate toward me. They wanted their picture taken. And I wasn't the coolest guy in fourth grade, believe it or not, but even the cool kids would come my way and they'd pose. And I came to realize that there's some power there that I held in my hands by just having a camera. And since then, I've always had a camera of some sort, some kind of point and shoot. Everywhere I went, I had a camera. An old Polaroid. I had a Polaroid camera when I was moving into the phase of basic where we were allowed to have personal belongings. I had my Polaroid camera where I snapped a lot of pictures from there. And then fast forward, I'm a dad, and one of my daughters joined the high school wrestling team. And I've always been fascinated by martial arts, involved in martial arts, and so I wanted to take photos of my daughter wrestling. And my wife happened to buy me a Canon T3i that Christmas. And so I kind of followed her around for the next few years, wrestling mats all over the country. And that's kind of where I really caught the bug.
So when did it like just click for you and say, you know what, I got the bug, but I think I want to try to make money with this. I think I want to try to make a living with this, or charge people, go make that leap versus being from someone who on the camera just had a love for photography to I wanted to create a business with this.
Yeah, I think I think it kind of happens with a lot of photographers, especially ones that are self-taught. I was just doing my thing, taking photos. I was just kind of providing photos to the wrestling families. I was like, here, I'm doing it anyway. So here you go. And people started walking up to me like, hey, do you do birthdays? Do you do senior portraits? I just need some pictures of our family taken. And they asked me, how much do you charge? And I had no clue what to charge for anything like that. So I just kind of threw out a number randomly. I was like, how much would I pay for it? And I just gave them a number and they're like, okay. And I was like, okay, cool. So, I remember starting, and this was almost 11 years ago. I did a few sessions at about $60, and we're talking about an hour long, and it was a CD with all the photos.
Oh, yeah, speaking to the
Yeah.
heart.
And that's what I started with. And I thought, hey man, this is pretty cool. I made some money. I had some fun. Maybe they'll tell somebody else.
That's what
And
fun is, though, man.
yeah,
How fun? Like, cause think about when people say, were you formally trained? And it's like the answer really is like I took a couple of photography classes, but as far as formally trained, no, there wasn't like no school, no body of work. I had no degree, no master certification in photography. It was literally YouTube and Creative Live is where it began for me, where I really started dialing in, like understanding what aperture was, what the shutter count did, what all that meant. It wasn't until I started going on YouTube and just typing it in and those first few shoots when you're sitting there burning it onto a DVD and you're putting a little custom cover on it, a little sticker cover, and you're putting in the jewel case that you put the little slide in, cover, and you put your little logo there. You're like, yeah, those. And I always say I miss those days because you were making so many mistakes, but nobody was there to criticize you. Versus now, we live in a day and age where it's like information overload. You have access to all the knowledge out there, and it's like one mistake and you just get crucified for it. So it's like I miss the early days when we just didn't know any better.
Yeah, growth is like a double-edged sword.
Like
you said, when it's just you and whoever's hiring you, as long as they love their pictures, nobody cares.
Exactly.
You're having a good time. You're making some money. They love their pictures. That's it.
And what was the original philosophy most of us had was like, with charging, right? And they said, what did you charge when you first started? I was like, dude, I charged what I got paid. What do you mean? I said, look, I was a high school teacher. I knew what my checks was. If I shot a wedding, anything that was above that paycheck for teaching, I thought was a win. And I didn't know that I wasn't charging shit until somebody said, dude, I make that doing this. And you're like, how? And then you're like, wait, there's a way to do that. And it's like, show me the way. When someone says, hey, I made $1,500 on a portrait and you made $1,500 on the wedding, we're not the same. And I'm like, oh, you're right, we're not. So maybe I should charge $2,000. Like in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, I can charge a little bit more. And but you got to start somewhere. And I always say, don't be afraid where you start at. Is really the journey itself is the story, and then you're finished wherever your finish line is. And if you're like me, you're constantly moving the finish line. You went from $500 wedding to $5,000 wedding to $50,000 wedding to creating an experience that's priceless. So it's like the journey's been like you've been amazing. But those early days, man, those were the fun times.
Yeah. And those are some of my favorite clients that I look back on because they didn't have the cloud spot portfolio to look at and just know that I was going to nail it. They just kind of said, hey, I'm taking a chance. He's offering me this price. I'm going to trust him and let's go for it. And they were happy afterwards, but they gave me a shot when they didn't have to. So I always look back with favor on those clients. And now, like I said, with growth comes judgment from the internet, judgment from our own community, our own photography community. You're charging enough, you're charging too much, your photos are too sharp, your greens are too faint, whatever the case may be. There's always going to be someone that has something to say. And it's like, sometimes I miss those days of, hey, it's just me and whoever's paying. But,
exactly. With that being said, to throw a little controversy on this episode, when this is being recorded, I'm not going to give the date, but I'm just going to say an announcement was just made that has rocked the photography world, and that was the engagement of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. So to them, I say congratulations. To the photographer, whoever it was that did it, job well done. And I'm going to leave it at that, because that's where it goes back to, like, we are our biggest critics and our worst critics, because here we are, two people got engaged and all we're doing is picking apart their pictures because they're famous and shitting on the photographer because, oh, they used direct flash and they did this and they look, whoever got it, they got it. And it's like, yes, I know we all personally can look at it and armchair quarterback it and say, I would have done a better job and this and that. But, for someone who has done photographs for influential people, I know what it's like to be in that moment and then get starstruck and get in that moment and go, oh shit, this is so-and-so, or damn, this fucker plays for the Mavericks. And, I'm doing his kid's, birthday party. And you're like, oh, you're trying not to fanboy. And you're like, okay, let me scale back here. It's like, why do we do that to ourselves?
Yeah. All I hope is that they're getting their commission everywhere. Yes. Everywhere those pictures are ending up on.
Oh my gosh.
I hope they're getting taken care of.
But like, we're talking about growth. I mean, I say that with the point of, you mentioned growth and everything. So let's talk about your growth. I mean, like, because I view you as myself, a wedding and portrait photographer, because I know you've done both. Hell, you've shot a wedding with me. So, and I know you a killer when it comes to seniors. So it's like, on the portrait side, do you view seniors as more of your specialty over anything else? Or is it like, what is your ranking in regards to, like, what do you like to shoot the most versus what are you known for?
What I like to shoot the most are seniors. In my law enforcement career, my last 5 years were in a school setting as a school resource officer. So working with teenagers, and teenagers are weird animals. They may love you one day and hate you the next day, but they tend to open up in ways with me in that role that they may not open up to a teacher. And so I had a lot of heart-to-heart conversations with a lot of students. And I have one senior in mind. I had him as in middle school, and then when I transitioned to the high school, I had him then too. He had a lot of emotional, a lot of behavioral issues. He was a tough cookie, and we had a lot of laughs in the hallway, and then we had some almost came to blows kind of moments in the hallways. And I ended up doing his senior portraits, and he was a completely changed kid by the time he was 18. Not necessarily apologetic, but you could see it was there. His mom was incredibly grateful for all of the years and for the pictures. For me, you're not just photographing the kid and their story, but you're also photographing their potential. And I love being able to sit down with them and do this, come up with an idea for it, shoot it, edit it, get it to them. And I like the hard cases. 9 times out of 10, there's a senior mom who contacts me and said, I want pictures for my son, but he doesn't want to do this. That's my favorite. That's my absolute favorite call that I get. Because I know once I get them there and I get 2 minutes in and I show them what we're getting, they get excited and they get into it and they start loving the posing. They come up with more ideas. We run with it. We do 2-3 hours shoot, and that's a victory for me. So long answer, seniors.
I love what you said. You said you don't just take the pictures; you're photographing their potential. I love that. I never heard it said like that. So I think that's an awesome. It's almost like to circle back with weddings for me, like it's not about pretty pictures for me. It's about creating these memories and these moments. And it's like, so I like how you say you're not just taking the pictures of them to commemorate their senior year. You're taking pictures of their potential. And it's like, how many of us at the age of 18 knew what we wanted to do, had our life together, knew clear cut, dry the pathway we're going to walk over. How many of us went off the beaten path? And it's like, to me, I feel like that 18 year or that senior year or that moment you graduate, that's a checkpoint in life because you get to that new checkpoint where now you're viewed as an adult legally, but now you're taking all these lessons that you learn and how do you navigate being an adult? As did you learn the right lessons? Did you apply it and stuff? So I love that idea of like you're taking pictures of their potential, because we never know what's going to happen with these kids. And hell, I got a kid in college right now and she could be biggest headache then in one moment, and then in the next moment she could be my pride and joy. So I definitely love that about that was well said.
Right on, man. Yeah, and I also, I love weddings. I do. I'm a sucker for weddings. I am a rom-com wedding movie watching fool.
Favorite wedding movie? I'll put you on the spot. Favorite wedding movie?
Best Friend's Wedding.
Oh, damn. Nice. You know what? I tell people all the time, I said, dude, 27 Dresses that's
a good one. That's a good one.
It was just something about, because I said, you know what? She encompassed like all the stress, but still wanting to be the good friend, still wanting to be there for people, whatever, but in managing the stress and, sometimes how we have to we sacrifice way too much and not put ourselves first or whatever. I think it was the great parable of like what we as photographers or just some of us, like how we are when we're giving with people, how that feels. Like, I think that was the best, like a lot of us just relate to that in general. And I was just like, and then the comedy behind it, you just want that, you finally want your day. And I love that, like how the end it all came together for her, because sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but yeah, 27 Dresses. And I like My Best Friend's Wedding. That's a good one as well.
Yeah. And so I love weddings. I love every bit of it. To me, the buildup of the wedding, I feel like I'm dancing with the couple during their first dance. Mm-hmm. The decor, the pageantry of it all, I love it. I absolutely love it.
I love the adrenaline rush, man. I still get from it. And I love when just you got the random family members or the parents. The parents are the one that do it for me, because it's like, one day I'm going to cross that bridge where that's going to be my little girl out there doing that, dancing and everything. Yeah. But it's just, I love the reaction that I get. I love the memories that I'm creating for them. And it's like, time and time and time again, I've been, told this was a legacy picture. This was a legacy moment for our family. This was the last great picture that we had of grandma, or this is, so it's like to be, and I always said the goal was always be able to touch a million households. And that's always just the journey of like how many clients can I touch their homes, their families' homes, their extended families' homes, their friends. Like, can I put my fingerprint in all those different homes based on what I do? So,
Yeah. I'm going to go deep. I'm going to go deep on you real quick.
go for it.
So at 51 years old now, right? I'm retired. This is what I do now. I don't get a whole lot of adrenaline dumps.
Okay.
Okay. And from my previous careers, I got more than my share.
Oh, yeah.
And so I hear photographers talk about weddings are so stressful. I don't want the stress of a wedding. It's a once in a lifetime thing. You can't miss the shot. And I'm like, that's the reason why I want to do a wedding. That there's a rush in there. It builds up in the pre-ceremony stuff. The ceremony comes, and then the beginning of the reception comes, and it's all stress. It's like all you're going, the blood's going, your brain's going, everything's clicking. That's the way it's supposed to be. And then you have the reception or the dance following, and that's like, okay, now I can just play, because dance time. You get to be creative, you get to have fun. You got your key moments with the cake, and they got garter toss if they're doing that, but it's all fun time. And then after the wedding, like on my way home or when I get home, it's just crash. It's just physical, emotional crash. And, I don't, like I said, I don't get in my, in the stage of life I'm in now, I don't get that a lot, because everything's pretty smooth for me. But so maybe that's why you and I look at weddings and we're like, let's do it. I need that pump,
Absolutely.
And, so that's just, something that we come from, where we're like, we got to have that excitement, that stress in our lives.
And it's something I was saying when I was at Boca Summit in Atlanta. I said, what we do is a privilege. And the day we start cheapening our privilege, then we're just like everyone else, And I don't say, oh, I got to shoot a wedding today. I get to shoot a wedding today. I am getting paid money to create moments for these people. It's like I hold on to that idea and that state of mind, because what we do, because one day I'm not going to be able to, the arthritis is going to kick in. I can't hold the camera quite like I used to. One day the vision is going to get a little bit more blurry, and I don't know if I'm in focus or out of focus, but, the bifocals ain't bifocal in the way we need it to be. And the LASIK is wearing out, and just I won't be able to see the way I used to. One day I won't be able to stand and move around like I used to. Then, then I'm going to be like, man, I miss the days when I could squat down and take a picture of someone, versus now I squat down, I blow my knee out, and I'm down for the count. So I always say, like, take full advantage and appreciation for the time we have now, being able to do what we do, because one day we're not going to be able to do it,
Yeah, I'm right there, man. I don't really throw this out there too often, but I got, arthritis in my hands. I've got
Yep.
arthritis in a knee, I'm being treated.
The hips aren't hipping the way they used to.
Yeah, I'm dealing with all these things.
You got the tanker knees. I already
Yeah,
I was a medic for a tank. Yeah, I was a medic for a tank company.
Yeah, I'm dealing with all these physical elements, and it was maybe last week. I went to my wife and I said, "Look, I love what I do, but I want to put a date down. I want to do 10 more years, and then I want to basically fully retire. I'll always be a photographer. I'll always have a camera, but I won't necessarily market myself the way I do now. I won't necessarily push to take as many things as I can. It'd be more on my terms.
Leisure activity.
Yeah.
Handmade camera. Let me go have some fun. And they're like, damn,
maybe
you're going to be that guy who goes, damn, he still got it.
Maybe I'll grab a Leica or something and just carry that around.
Just be pompous, get the most expensive camera so that people will still take you serious. But then it's like, yeah, I don't do it. I shoot when I feel like it. It's like, so what do you get paid? Whatever I feel like it.
Yeah.
I've been enamored so much success that I don't actually need to charge anymore. It's like, wait, what? I remember hearing somebody tell me, they go, I want to be so good at weddings that I don't even charge for weddings. People just give me money because they love me so much. And I was like, that literally makes no sense to me. But I like I like the nostalgia of the thought of, like, you want to be so good that people, you don't even put a price tag on it. Just people just give you what you're worth. I'm like,
yeah, it's like having that menu without numbers on it. You know?
Exactly. I'm market value. What's the market price? How much is it market price? You pay me what you want to pay me. Well, what if I want to pay you $1? Then my work is worth $1. Then you're worth $1. Like, no.
Hey, there's a completely different episode on pay what you can. I don't know
Oh
if you've
man.
seen these pay what you can minis, pay what you can. I've seen pay what you can weddings, quinceañeras,
Oh my gosh.
and I'm
That
like,
scares the shit out of me when I see those like ads and just like even in these local groups and these local, here in Dallas, I just when I hear people say certain things, I'm just like, please stop. Like it's I equate it to dating and being a pick me girl,
ooh,
I'll do
yeah,
I'll do photo and video for $1,000, 10 hours, plus my firstborn. You're like, dude, no, don't do that. No, you're better than this. Like, go drive Uber. Don't ever cheapen yourself. Like, you don't hear Burberry going, Ross, please take all of our excess product and sell it in your stores. They're like, no, we're just gonna burn it, dude. It's like you're building a brand. Why cheapen your brand by doing
yeah,
that? Mercedes isn't like, dude, we gotta get our hearts in the CarMax. We're losing out. Like, no, we're gonna still Mercedes it. We're still gonna be this dealership. We're still gonna provide luxury and we're gonna provide a service. And the right clients are gonna find us. And I still, in my heart of hearts, believe that.
yeah, yeah. I heard it. Man, it may have been Ben Hartley that said this, or he may have been quoting somebody else. Either do it full price or do it for free.
I love that.
And I've done some stuff for free, just because I felt my heart was in it, you know, and I felt like it was my calling to do something for free for a particular person in a particular circumstance. But yeah, you won't see me running sales. I don't do specials. I'm running a special today, or
Some of your weddings, if you
yeah,
book in the next 30 days, like
yeah,
if you're not going to book me in your next 30 days when you're planning your wedding, are you even really getting? That's how I look at it. It's like, what is there to talk about? You're getting married, your date. You either want to book me or you don't. I don't need to, you know, oh, if you book me within 7 days after talking to me, then you're going to get this much off. Like, no, you got just do it. This is what you worked your ass off to get to this price point. Do that. Even with seniors, I've seen some like for me, like the way my seniors is very sporadic. It's not I don't market the way I should to seniors, but at the same time, I'm not trying to do 50, 60 seniors a year. I'm cool with the 15 that I get because my workload is also I got to have that work life balance and a lot, but I get a lot of last minute bookings. I get a lot of last minute. Oh, I'm trying to do this or but I have no problem giving out those 1 or 2 sessions for those seniors that they're a good kid. They just parents don't have a lot of money. They're the kid that had to get the borrow just for prom, or whatever. They're going to college on a scholarship. Parents are just putting everything together. You know their stories. You know which ones I'm talking about. There's some that oh, we come from humble beginnings. We don't have a lot. Then they show up girls driving the BMW and going to SMU. You're like, nah, y'all are good. She could pay full price. This one here, nah. This one took the city bus to get to where they were at today. So yeah, there's two different train of thoughts here. And I've seen it, and again, it's privilege versus entitlement. And then like I said, sometimes you just when you have that time and that moment and they're available, yeah, let's do it. Let's get you some amazing pictures so you can have an amazing moment. Have that moment in your senior year where you have just a smile on your face and you have that smile to look back on versus thinking back at the struggle. You don't want it to always be 100% struggle. So,
right on, right on.
Sorry, I went on a tangent.
No, it's
but,
good.
But let me ask you this: when did you think it all kind of started coming together for you as a photographer, as a business? Like when you were making the decisions, when you were growing and everything. You're following your daughter with the wrestling camp, you're getting word of mouth traction and everything. But when did you feel like you started hitting your stride?
So I've been in business for just over 10 years now. 7 of those years, it was a side gig to my law enforcement career. And things were very, I was dependent on my law enforcement schedule, really. And so as I was approaching my eligibility date for retirement, I started really looking at, can I make photography my next career, basically. And I started pushing myself out there a little bit more, making myself available a little bit more. And once I retired, I came to realize how much time I had, daily, weekly, with the job out of the way, basically. And that's when I started attending conferences. And to be around the quality of people that are at these conferences really changed my outlook. They saw my work, and I'm getting complimented by people that I admire, as far as my work goes. And then from there, really kind of digging more into the business aspect of running a photography business. That's when things really started taking off for me.
So who are the people that, I guess, who did you admire? Who did you like kind of model your work after when you first started? Who holds your admiration nowadays?
Well, when I first started, and I shout this guy's name out constantly because wherever he is in the world now, he helped a lot of people, 10, 15 years ago, and that's Gary Fong. One of the first people that I know of that was shot Sony. He was really big on YouTube at the time, primarily doing a lot of lighting. And I jumped in with lighting like right away. My first paid gig was I used off-camera flash because I liked the way that stuff looked, and I wanted my work to look like that. So shout out to Gary, wherever he is now. Guys like Miguel Quiles. Yeah, good dude, solid dude. Jared Polin, crazy guy. But
So,
my brother actually turned me on to him. My brother primarily shoots football and some seniors. But when I first started, really getting into it, he was like, "Here, check this guy out," and I've been following Jared ever since. Manny Ortiz, former law enforcement officer, also. I just like his style. I like what he does. Those were my early on guys that I really followed, and all of them are Sony shooters. Now that I think about it, nowadays it's more Michael Anthony, Chris Grande, oh gosh, I'm losing names right now. Raphael, can't think of his last name right now. Yeah, he's up in your area, isn't he?
yeah,
Yeah.
Michael and Raphael are in my area, so
Yeah, a
I
lot
know
of
them
the
well.
more architectural portrait work, wide lenses, that kind of stuff really is speaking to me like the last few years. Funny story. I was in Las Vegas. My wife and I were at the Wedding MBA conference. Now this conference isn't just for photographers, it's for bakers, DJs, photo booths, photographers, planners, you name it. Anybody that's in the wedding business is represented there. And so I signed up for the photography track, and I'm listening to this guy, and he's hilarious. He's making me laugh. He's keeping the crowd entertained. And next thing you know, he starts putting up pictures, and I'm like, holy crap! I've seen this guy's work before, and I've liked it. And it turned out to be a guy named Sal Sincata. And I just remember, yeah. So every class that he did in this conference, I went to, and because I really, his entertainment style was completely different than anybody else's there, and he kept speaking about this thing called Shutterfest. And I'm like, okay, I gotta look this up. Shutterfest. What is he talking about? And at that time, I was still in law enforcement, but my wife said, "Hey, you need to go to this." And in my head, I'm like, I don't have time to go to this. I don't have the money to invest in this. All the excuses that most people will come up with. And eventually, I went and fell in love with it. Grew tremendously from it. So the guys I named plus Sal, I would say definitely are people that I look at when I need a little kick in the butt to say, why am I sitting here doom scrolling instead of getting after it.
For the next person to go. It's funny you mentioned your wife, because like I just still think back to when I would first come across the conference scene. Like first conference ever was WPPI. 2013, had no money. I was a high school teacher at the time, didn't really have money for Vegas, and then My wife just says, look, 10 years from now, this conference might impact your career as a photographer a lot more than you 10 years from now, you as a teacher. She's like, 10 years from now, you probably won't even be a teacher, but you might still be a photographer. So you should do things that are going to contribute to what it is you ultimately want to do. And I remember that was kind of the attitude I had with every conference in the early days was, just don't go in there and expect everything to change overnight, but go in there with the open mindedness to learn and get better. And that was kind of the approach I took. And then it's like, yeah, I mean, I've always openly said Shutterfest was when I found my first real community that I felt comfortable being Marvin, being who I am in front of. But yeah, no, I just remember hearing those wise words, and here we are 10 plus years later, still a photographer, and doing things to contribute to the next 10 years. So I love it. And I'm glad Shutterfest got his claws into you, and you go now. That's how we initially met, was through the community.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
and
the
then it was like,
year you were at Shutterfest, and then you had to fly back home for a wedding.
oh yeah, okay.
And then you flew back to Shutterfest to close it out. And I was like, at the time, I was like, this dude is crazy. He must be like high demand, like balls to the wall kind of a guy. And then it may have been the next year or 2 years later, I find myself at WPPI, and then I had to fly home in the middle of it, shoot a wedding, fly back for the tail end.
You're
And
like,
I was like,
now I
man,
know.
maybe I made it. Maybe I've arrived now.
We talk about, people say, when do you know you made it? I was like, I don't have that moment where it's like, what, I made it. It's just, I think back at like just this journey that I've been on. I'm pretty sure you see the same things. Like, you just do these things, you're just like, oh shit, that makes sense now. Or that, oh, now I'm in the same conversations as this person or whatever. I had to shoot 2 weddings in 2 different cities on the same weekend. You're like, oh, and you hear those stories like, oh man, that's crazy. And then when you're doing it, you're like, wait, that just happened to me. That's me right now. I jokingly said that I did the tour of Texas when I did a wedding in New Braunfels. Then I drove up to Waco, and then I drove to Denton. I was like, I've literally hit all 3 regions. I did South, Central, and North all in the same weekend. I don't recommend that to anybody, by the way.
That sounds painful.
Oh God, it was. And the first one in New Braunfels was a 2-day. It was really a 3-day wedding, but I did 2 of the 3 days. And then I told the girl I can't do the 3rd day because I got to go to Waco. And then I drove to Waco that morning, shot that wedding. And then I went home that night, from Waco, which was about an hour and a half away from where I live. And I went home, slept, got up, and then I drove to North Tech. And I'm not talking about I went past Denton. Yeah, I was just like, oh my gosh, this kicked my butt. But the weddings were fire, and it was just, love what you do. I love it.
Yeah, man, your stuff is. I've always liked your work, but here in like the last 2 years or so, I've noticed like a level up on it. Definitely.
I feel like I'm trying to finally hit that stride, because it's just like, because I'm hitting that stride of like, the goal was always being one of the best photographers in the room. Like that, like when I'm in a room full of photographers, I want to be in the conversation. Like, hey, who's the best photographer in here? It's like, and then it's like, if someone says, oh, Marvin's the best here, then I want to find that next room where I'm the worst photographer and build my way up. So it's just the constant, I'm chasing, personal greatness, if that makes sense, and I love being around you. I love being around you, being around other people in their elements, because it's like iron sharpens iron. Just like when I drove down to New Braunfels to do the senior stuff with you, it was just literally, I just wanted to be around photographers. I wanted to be around photography and just share whatever, knowledge I could share, any creative ideas, but really just see you guys that do it more than I do in y'all's elements. So I can just see, okay, now it's like watching great basketball players, watching, Peyton Manning throw a ball. You just like, you want to see people in their element doing their thing. You're just like, yep, there's, it's watching, greatness, essentially. That's what I love.
Yeah, I love those events where we can have multiple photographers, multiple models, different setups, because those are fun. We get to be around each other and stuff. But I love seeing the photos afterward and seeing how someone else we were sitting right next to each other at the exact same moment.
How did you see it this way and I saw it this way?
Yeah,
it's like, yeah.
And someone else did it completely different. And that drives me, because I'm like, I need to open my eyes wider and see more,
I remember being with Sal. It's funny we mentioned him again. We're going to keep bringing him up. But, I remember sitting next to him and he says, how do you see this? And I was like, well, this is what I see. He was like, okay, because I see this. And it was like just little tweaks. And you're like, oh, wait, okay. And then you talk to someone like Esteban. And he was like, he goes, when I'm telling the story, you probably see things up close and personal. He's like, but I like to pull back. I like to pull back.
Yes.
I like to be on the outside looking in. I like to be the guy up against the wall. I like to be that outcast, looking at it from the outcast view. I'm like, I never thought of it that way, because I'm thinking like, oh wait, I don't want to have all these people between the bride and groom, but there's like, I'll do the first dance, but then I'm like, let me go all the way back behind the tables and let me get low and let me shoot between people, and it's like, oh wait, now we're seeing a different form of storytelling.
That's the story. That's the story. Yeah.
It's like, this is the moment, but let me pull back. Now we have the story, and it's like, oh shit, there's levels. So again,
my hands are tingling just talking about it.
It's like, it's like, I need a wedding right now.
Yeah. I sat in on his master class, where he preached back the fuck up.
Yep. I love
back the fuck up. And because again, going back to the first dance, at a wedding, there's this flow. They're dancing, right? And I'm basically dancing around the perimeter of the dance floor. And after watching his master class, I was like, oh, wait a minute, I'm supposed to back up. So I ran back behind a couple of tables. I hit my light. Ran up behind a couple of tables and grabbed some of those wide shots. And I was like, that's it. That was it.
Something I like to do is I like to position it to where when I back up, I'm right behind the parents.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
The parents are my foreground watching their kids, and it's like, oh, now I'm telling a deeper story. Like, try to find those key relatives. If I get the groom's parents, the bride's parents, even the grandparents, or brothers and sisters, or in some cases the wedding party, the best man and maid of honor. Like, if I can get the wedding party's perspective, like just get those different, because now you're telling just like this all around story, and it's just like now you're seeing it from different points of views and the happiness, and then then I'll flip it around and I'll zoom in on people's reactions and start doing reaction shots. It's like I'm doing all this in the course of 2.5 minutes. It's like, but that's the adrenaline rush that I live off of too.
Yep. And if the couple has kids, get the kids involved in that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Have the kids watching them dance. That I have one black and white shot where I see it every time, and I'm like, dang, that was it. That was the whole story. The kids are up, looking up at their parents. Parents are looking down at the kids, laughing. Everyone's dancing. I love it.
It's like the little girl, tears in her eyes because now she's got a mommy again, and it's like so she's been hurting her dad since she was born. Even just watching the reaction of being an adopted father, watching their reaction to kids when they blend the families. I just love those moments.
Yeah.
Yep. Try not to get outside. Try not to get sappy during the show.
Yeah, it's 105 degrees out, and I have a hanky for my sweat, and I have a hanky for my eyeballs.
For the tears. But okay, so just because we're getting ready to hit the 45-minute mark, and man, we can go all day just chatting it up. But I mean, you're getting ready to do some major traveling. I know you got teaching on the horizon. You're an ambassador for 17 Hats. I mean, dude, when I say you. The watching you grow has been a pleasure, because again, I love watching my friends win, but it's like, I mean, so with everything you have on deck, obviously I want to talk about work-life balance, but how are you managing the new era in your career right now?
It's a constant struggle, to be honest with you. I want to fill my day with work where there's like work pockets. Does that make sense? But I don't want to constantly chase work either. Prime example, photographers, for anybody that's listening that isn't in the profession here, in the industry, photographers belong to geographic specific photo groups, right? And people will post in there like, looking for a photographer for this East Texas wedding, or looking for a photographer in Oklahoma. And when someone posts that, there's about 100, 125 photographers that respond. I'll be happy to do it. I can help. I'd love to be considered. 125 times. And so constantly trying to chase those down is a pain in the ass. And so I love it when I'm sitting on the couch doing absolutely nothing, and my watch buzzes and I look at it, and it's a lead capture that came in from 17 Hats saying, we're getting married on this day. This is our budget. We like your work. Can we set up a call? That's the best thing in the world to me. So I would much rather let my website draw people in than me chasing people down, saying, please, can I work for you? That's just not the stage I'm in. I don't want that I think that robs me of time. Going into go ahead.
I'll go even further with that. In some cases, and I'm going to get shit for saying it like this, but sometimes I feel like it robs us of our dignity as well. I look at it as the career actors that have to still audition, but they have a body of work that they've proven themselves. This isn't their first, major role. They've done 60 roles, but yet you still have this person who has won awards at one point, who at one point was, at the top of the game, who they may have had some missteps or whatever, but they're still actively, but you're still making them rehearse, you're still making them audition. And it's like, after everything that this person's done, you're still making them dance for their meal. And it's like, you know, when someone says this is what I'm looking for in my photographer, and it's like, yeah, I fit that, and I have the body to prove that. And it's like, when you tell people I've done over 500 weddings, you're not saying that to sound braggadocious. You're like, let's run the numbers here. I've done over 500 weddings. I've done this much. I've done this for 10 plus years. It's like you've got the proven body of work, and yet and I'm guilty of responding to some of them because sometimes I'll do it for the hell of it just to see what they say or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's funny because people are like, hey, did they ever respond? I say, yeah, they responded to me. And I'm not trying to say that my work is better than everyone else, because it's like when it's 120 something, accounts on there responding, you're going to get lost in the shuffle. Like, my work is good, but it's not that good where it just stands out amongst the crowd. Now, if you look at me, if I get chosen out of the 5, I have a good shot of that. But it's like, I got to get that to that 5. And I guarantee you, they're not looking at all 120 something accounts. They're just going to click, and it's like, all right, the first 5 we like, we're just going to reach out to them, and then say, but they know they have the leverage. They can say, well, my budget's $1,000. Here comes the next 100 people saying, I'll do it for 100. I'll do it for 200.
Yeah.
No, I look back at it. I mean, yeah, it robs you of your time, but I think in some ways it robs you of your dignity.
Yeah. And then say on the editing side, I've been with Aftershoot for a couple of years now. Drastically reduces the amount of time I spend on editing. So I'm going to be a customer for life on that. Plus they're just darn good people. They really are. And
it's funny, years after shoot, anytime I do my stuff and I'm done with everything, I second guess it because I'm like, there's just no way that this is done already. Let me go through and just get it. Now let me do the favorite part where I get in my head and now I second guess everything that I did and pick apart and dissect the entire shoot itself, and and then start crucifying myself for being a terrible photographer and saying, because you're not used to it being this fast anymore. It's like you shoot a wedding on Saturday. The fact that 7 days from now you could be done with everything and be ready to send out gallery and set up the booking meeting for sales, you're like, this is unreal.
Yeah, I still go through every once in a while, and it's mostly cropping. I usually select for cropping to be done on the photos, but sometimes I'll go in tighter, or if a subject needs to be masked and just brightened up just a little bit, I might do that, and then I'll take maybe 5 shots and do my signature edit to them and really make it kind of a dramatic image. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with it.
I'm afraid to do the cropping one. I do the straightening all day because
oh,
I do too many one-handed cameras, so I know it's going to be crooked because I notoriously do that one-hand click, whatever. I don't know.
So if anybody's listening, they're not familiar with Aftershoot. When you load all your images, say you got a wedding, say you got 1,500 pictures, you dump them into Aftershoot, and then you can select filters for what you want them to do with these images. One of the options is straightening, which it will straighten all of your photos. Another one is selective mask. So it will mask your subject in case you want to do any editing to that, so that when you run it through and you take these images, say, into Lightroom, the straightening is done for you. All the subjects are masked for you, which that alone is worth the price, because I generally like to have my subjects brightened out of the image more than anything else. Lets them pop out of the background a little bit. So that is a huge time saver for me. Again, playing around with some of the stuff in the marketplace, I like some of those different profiles that you can select. So far, I've only used the free profiles, but I'm pretty happy with them. Whether it be weddings, sports, you name it, there's something for everything.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. 100%. And as I said, for me, we talk about time all the, time is, one of our most precious assets these days. And again, you're giving back so much time with that. That's why, I'll continue to rock with it. But I tell everybody, like, you hear the age old adage, work smarter, not harder. And I feel like that falls in the category of working smarter. You know, it just now we got to
Yeah.
get out of our own bad habits of like, because it's getting so fast that you're like, I got to question this. Like, I don't know. This can't be real. Like,
Yeah.
damn, I'm that good. It's like,
Yeah. And so, to be more effective using aftershoot, using 17 hats for automation, I now have time to work on the business, not just in the business. I've had time to study more. How can I make this better? How can I make this more efficient? How can I make it a better experience for the client? And so, not only that, so my wife runs her own business. She is a travel advisor, has her own company, and having free time or being more efficient has allowed me to say, you know what, I'm not going to work these 2 weeks. I'm going to clear my schedule for these 2 weeks and I'm going to do something else, with her or just relax. I almost managed to take all of July off. I mean, I had nothing going on. It was great. I had one client. It was a musical act here in town, and they're like, we need a kit done. Can you come in? And I was like, fine, I'll take it. But that was more fun than work, really. But I'm able to block off time and like here coming up in the next couple of months, we're going to travel. This will be our biggest trip we've ever taken, and so I really owe it all to be able to be more efficient at what I do.
okay, so what's next for you? What's on the horizon for you?
So we're getting ready to jump into wedding season. So I'm prepared for that. But I'm really focusing on my seniors. I have a couple of ideas in place for destination sessions. My hopes are to set up a session. I'll make it more clear here for you. So New Braunfels is right between Austin and San Antonio, and we have 3 spots here in town that everybody does their senior portraits at. We have Green, which is a cool historical little district in our area. We have Landa Park, which is a beautiful park. I had no idea that not all parks were that great, but I love it. And we have the Foust Street Bridge, which is a historic bridge crossing over the Guadalupe River. Everybody does their photos there. And to be honest with you, if someone hires me to do it, I'll do it. But I'm always going to try to steer them away from that. I want them to have something original. I want them to have something that speaks to them, speaks to who they are. To me, those are safe locations to shoot at, but I want to move on. So I have a couple of plans to get out of New Braunfels, get out of our area altogether, and travel with a small group of seniors, knock out their senior portraits, to where they can come back home and say, "Look what I have," and no one else has it, and they're completely jealous of them. So that's where I'm moving to.
The ego, nothing wrong with that.
I have one location out in West Texas I'm looking at, one location on the coast. So that's what I'm doing. Believe it or not, people from like Houston will travel to New Braunfels for their senior portraits. Yep. And I'm like, let's just trade. But let's swap places or something. That'd be great.
I know. I'm like, let's go somewhere else. Like, oh, let's go to the Botanical Gardens. You're like, come on, dude. I've done it so many times. Like, do you want to be? Let's be original. Let's go to Chemo Boardwalk down in Galveston. It's only 3-hour drive, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
Like, let me really be creative.
Yeah, my daughter, she's 21 now. When she was graduating, we went on a cruise, her senior break, and her spring break. We did her senior portraits in Key West and in the Bahamas. She was originally from Florida, so she wanted to do something back there, and so I said, well, let's do it. And again, photos that no one else had. Nobody else in her school and her class had photos looking like that. And so, that's what I want to push to.
Travel senior photography.
Yeah,
Destinations. Yes.
Yeah, we're actually to speak on this trip we have coming up. We're flying to Greece. Again, this is actually familiarization trip for my wife.
Okay.
She'll be we'll be on a tour through Athens, Mykonos, and Santorini in Greece. Just becoming more familiar with the area so that she has something to bring to her clients. I'm going as the photographer and her arm candy. And then from there, we'll be flying to London, and that's completely on us. That's just our side trip that we're taking. And I'm inviting seniors out to meet me in London. We'll see if we have any takers or not, but that's somewhere I'm going to be anyway. So I'm like, hey, come if you have the means to make it here, I'll do your senior portraits. And that's the way I'm going to run those. It's going to be priced just like any package I would do here in New Braunfels. They're already footing the bill for traffic and accommodation. I'm sorry, travel and accommodations. So I'm not trying to make anything extra off of that. It's just I want something. I want them to have something, and I want something for my portfolio. So that's how I'm working that. And then we're flying to Miami, and we'll be doing a cruise out of Miami on an MSC ship to the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and the Bahamas. So it'll be a 21-day trip altogether. Yeah.
I'm jealous, but I don't envy the schedule too. It's like 21 days straight. Like, oh man.
Yeah,
all the clothes, gotta pack the laundry, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that'll be it for this year as far as travel goes. And then in February, we're going on a safari in Kenya. Yeah, so I've been binge watching Vanessa Joy.
Okay.
She recently went to Kenya.
Yeah.
With a group of photographers, really, and seeing the work that they put out, just like I photographed these animals in the San Antonio Zoo before, but to be out in the wild and see them,
to do an actual safari,
yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really
That's
excited
nice, man.
about
I'm
it.
glad you got a passion project. Like I always say, between the work, between everything that we're doing, do creative projects for yourself as well. Whether it's just getting a model and just doing this, doing that, doing cityscape, going out to, go see your city, go try different areas, try to do one light setups, or, things that you saw at a conference and say, let me repeat that now. Because I always say, what's the point of learning something if you're not going to repeat it when you go back home?
Exactly.
Whether you're, you don't play with gels enough, no, go play with gels. Like, learn these cool things and practice it, be creative. Don't do it for the first time in front of your clients. You already had done it 100 times before you even get in front of your clients. So when you get to in front of your clients, it's seamless, And I see it all the time. I hear stories though. I was trying to do the gel thing with my clients and I messed this up. I'm like, why didn't you practice that before you got there? Like, why didn't you, or you telling them, you're hyping them up, oh, I want to do this gel shot, I want to do this gel shot. And then you get there, oh, I didn't bring my gels. Why didn't you check your pack? Am I the only one that does a packing list? Like, I check everything before, all the ways I do. I still check the bag every time. Do I have this?
Yeah. Pro tip: packing lists aren't just so you know what to take, but you remember what to bring back home.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. I have lost shit.
I lost a lens. I lost a lens in San Antonio, and it hurt.
Yeah, that hurt.
It was a Tamron 15-30 with a Metabones adapter for Sony that I've had since my Canon DSLR days, and that I haven't replaced it yet, but that one still hurt. Yeah.
I mean, I think the worst is I left the AD200 behind one time on a sheet stand. Yeah, it was the one I was using for the reception. Got done, packed up, totally forgot it. And then when I went there like the next day to try to go get it again, I'm like, hey, they're like, nope, it's gone. Somebody took it. I'm like, who the fuck takes a damn strobe? It's like, and then in my head, I'm like, there's probably a photographer that was a guest, and they were like, oh, free strobe.
I could use this.
Yeah, I could make something happen with this. Oh yeah, no. Most recently, I lost my meta glasses at a wedding.
Oh no!
I set them down on the table and forgot. You get to take them off, you start doing stuff, whatever. And I like, where did I set these things at? And couldn't remember. Got home like, fuck, where the glasses at? He's like,
yeah.
And I was like, let me call the venue, knowing good and well somebody's gonna see the meta glasses. They're not prescription. I'm keeping them. I just gotta order the case. So it's like I've had to buy new meta glasses.
Yeah, I'd be upset.
Yeah. Because everyone's like, why'd you do this to get people? Like, I'm not trying to have all this shit on me to get POV. Like, I know guys that wear the necklaces with the GoPro and stuff, but I'm like, I'm not trying to do all that. I'm not trying to wear the hat at a wedding with the little thing clipped onto the bill of the hat. It's like, let me do meta classes. I don't need 30, 40 minutes of BT, behind the scenes. I just need a couple seconds, just enough to
Right.
make reels, nothing crazy. So I was like, let me get back to the meta classes. So I finally bit the bullet and it's like, all right, wedding season's coming up. Let me get these meta classes going so I can have all this content.
Yeah, I love them because I generally work alone. Although I am feeling the need for at least a lighting assistant for some of the things I've been trying to do lately. But I generally work alone, and so to have the glasses, you know, just to be able to tap your glasses or tell Meta to start recording you and have that video there waiting for you when you get home. I mean, it's too easy.
It's
And
like,
it's formatted just for all your socials already. I mean,
work smarter, not harder. And again, just, the game has changed where it's just how good is this person? How good do the pictures look? Now it's, how good are you marketing yourself, standing
yeah,
out, and especially in this new generation, you know, being a millennial or a Gen Xer to now these Gen Zs and these Gen Alphas, it's a whole different ballgame.
hmm I had a young couple. The groom to be saw me on TikTok. Where I did a surprise proposal, and they're from Houston, as a matter of fact, and they were coming to New Braunfels to do her birthday, and he wanted to propose to her, and he said, "Hey, are you available this weekend? I'd love to do it." I said, "I'm available. Let's knock it out." And so I shot the proposal and recorded it all on my Meta glasses, and I made their own TikTok for them, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing!" So, you know, kind of that over deliver. They weren't expecting that; they were just expecting pretty pictures. But they got that as well. So
Solo, so now it's like, how can I get behind the scenes? How can I create these? Even if you get little video clips of like whatever, like engagement, I'll hit record on the camera and just record little short clips within the camera itself.
hmm
Whether I'm making a reel or whether I'm just creating a little sizzle 30-second video with, nothing fancy, but just something that says, hey, getting married, you know, show their love and showcase their moment. Because the
yeah,
pictures are great, but then when you could add to it, why not? It makes it even
yeah.
better.
Not only that, is potential clients can hear your voice. They can hear how you speak to your clients. They can hear, what you're doing, especially if you're explaining something. They see how you work. So it's almost like a living resume, almost like, hey, I'm getting a chance to see how this guy does.
And I see the personality behind
Yeah,
it. Definitely. Because, oh, this guy's fun. We need him for because our crowd's going to be fun. We don't need someone that's going to be a prude or, you know, I have anxiety with big crowds. Like, why the fuck did we hire this person then?
Hey,
But
not a prude for anybody
yeah.
watching.
No, I'm totally fun. Super fun. I'm a super fun dude.
Oh man.
All right, man. So, hey, where can everybody find you, brother?
I'm at Magnolia Green. Green is spelled Grune, just like Green, Texas. On all the platforms. For photographers, I'm also on Facebook with the Business End of the Lens Facebook group. Find us, send in try to join, and I'll review you and approve you. It is for photographers only. Let me see. I have the host of the Trading Holsters podcast available on Spotify. There, I kind of just blurb my stuff, as well as interview veterans, military members, first responders that are also creative, that are also photographers, models, uh, any kind of artists. I like to talk to them, pick their brain. We all have so many similar backgrounds, so many similarities when it comes to family life. We do get deep sometimes talking about trauma, and I think it's good for me, it's good for them, it's good for anybody that listens.
Oh yeah, as a former guest of the show, I love. It's one of my favorite podcasts. I don't listen to my own podcast because I'm just not weird like that. But no, it's one of those like when it's on and I'm making those drives, when I'm on the highways going to the next wedding, it's on my playlist. I listen to it and I love that, and I love the Facebook group too, just because it is the community that is much needed when you're in there trying to navigate the waters. You need a good supportive community. So I love the business end just because we get to be ourselves and have fun, but then also have a community rally behind us.
Yeah, someone recently put a wrote a post about, hey, my client didn't like their images. I think most of it had to do with a makeup artist, things of that nature, and it was a really good, frank, no holds barred, but not insulting conversation amongst photographers. And I think we all need to hear that, because we don't know everything. We don't, someone else has probably done it better than we have. So let's learn from each other instead of having those kind of, mistakes happen. And I was so appreciative of the way everybody approached it. It's an all positivity kind of group. I don't really, I every once in a while you see a snide remark, but it doesn't get out of hand. I really hate groups where they, you see that everybody's shitty to each other. Yeah, and it can be that way. And, I don't need that. I don't need that in my life. most people don't. If you're somebody that thrives on that, probably go somewhere else. But yeah, I learn just as much from everybody else as hopefully they learn from me. But yeah.
Well, hey man, look, I don't want to take up too much of your time, man. We've hit it for an hour, man. Thank you so much for finally getting this done after schedules and reschedules, man. Finally getting you on the show was long overdue, but I'm glad to have you on, and I will make sure we post all your socials and everything to reach you. And yeah, man. So
yeah, I just have one question for you. Can you make me skinnier?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, let me get my overpaid editor to get on that. Clean up the little gray on my chin beard here.
Yeah. No, embrace the gray, man. Embrace it. Embrace it.
I'm going for that salt and pepper, they call it silver daddy look or whatever. I'm going to go for it. I got nothing to prove.
I call it the silver fox.
Nice.
One day, maybe the hair will get as gray. I mean, I
want to keep the hair black. I'll do this, but I want the hair to stay black. I'm not ready for that yet.
All right. Thanks, Marvin. I really appreciate it, man. It's been good. Later on.